There are performances that introduce an actor to the world, and then there are performances that change the way the world looks at them. The difference is not always measured by box office numbers or award nominations. Sometimes it's the moment audiences stop seeing an actor as the girl from that TV show and start seeing them as someone capable of carrying something much heavier. For Indy Navarrete, obsession is one of those moments. Long before stepping into horror, Navarrete had already established herself as a dependable young actress. She appeared in Netflix's 13 Reasons Why, where she played Estella de la Cruz, and later became widely recognized as Sarah Cushing in Superman and Lois. Those roles showcased an actress who could bring warmth and vulnerability to teenage characters without making them feel exaggerated. Sarah, in particular, was messy, compassionate, impulsive, and painfully human, a character who often divided audiences precisely because she behaved like an actual teenager rather than an idealized television version of one. Yet, despite years of consistently strong work, Indy Navarrete never became the center of Hollywood's conversation. And I would say that's the strange thing about acting. Talent alone rarely determines who becomes a household name. Timing matters. Opportunity matters. Most importantly, actors need that one role that forces audiences to reconsider everything they thought they knew about them. Obsession may just be that role. Hollywood has a habit of putting young actors into invisible boxes. Once an actor proves they can play the relatable high school student, they often spend years being asked to do exactly that. It's understandable. Studios like familiarity. Casting directors trust what they've already seen. Audiences develop expectations. The problem, however, is that those expectations can quickly become limitations. An actor capable of extraordinary range can spend years repeating variations of the same performance simply because no one asks them to do anything else. That is in no way a criticism of Navarrete's earlier work. If anything, I would say it highlights why obsession feels so incredibly significant. Instead of asking her to revisit familiar emotional territory, the film demands something entirely different. Horror doesn't allow actors to hide behind witty dialogue or charismatic personalities. At its best, it strips performance down to instinct. Fear is difficult to fake. Grief is difficult to fake. Desperation is difficult to fake. That is why horror has become one of Hollywood's greatest proving grounds. For decades, horror has been dismissed as the genre of jump scares and cheap thrills. Yet, some of the most remarkable performances of the last 20 years have come from horror films. Toni Collette's devastating portrayal of grief in Hereditary demonstrated emotional intensity that transcended the genre entirely. Mia Goth transformed Pearl into a psychological character study through sheer commitment. Jenna Ortega used X and later Scream to prove she was far more than another Disney alum making the transition into adult roles. Horror demands vulnerability in a way few genres can. Every emotion is amplified. Actors can't simply tell audiences they're terrified, but they have to convince them. That is exactly what makes Obsession such an interesting chapter in Navarrete's career. Rather than relying on dialogue alone, much of her performance is communicated through silence, hesitation, and physical presence. Small reactions carry enormous weight because horror thrives on anticipation. The audience is constantly reading faces, body language, and subtle emotional shifts, searching for clues before the next terrifying moment arrives. It's a genre that rewards restraint just as much as it does spectacle. In fact, many of Navarrette's strongest moments in the movie are not explosive at all. They're found in brief glances, uncertainty, hesitation, and somewhat of a restrained emotional response that feels remarkably authentic. Whether Obsession becomes a commercial success or a cult favorite is almost beside the point. Its greatest contribution may actually be what it represents for Navarrette's career. Actors often spend years searching for roles that expand their public perception. One performance can completely redefine the kinds of opportunities that follow. Suddenly, filmmakers begin imagining an actor in projects they never would have considered before. That possibility is what makes this movie so fascinating. It doesn't erase the work that came before it, but it simply just builds upon it. The emotional honesty that made Sarah Cushing compelling in Superman and Lois is still present. The authenticity visible in 13 Reasons Why remains intact. But now, those strengths are placed within a genre that demands entirely different muscles. The result is an actress who feels more versatile than ever. Predicting Hollywood careers has always been a dangerous game. History is filled with actors who seemed destined for superstardom before quietly disappearing from the spotlight, while others spent years working steadily before suddenly becoming some of the industry's most respected performers. There is no formula. There is only momentum. For Indy Navarrette, think of Obsession as less like a destination and more like the beginning of a new chapter. Instead of asking whether she can handle dramatic material, audiences can now ask what genre she'll tackle next. Instead of seeing her solely as a television actress, viewers can begin imagining her leading ambitious feature films. And sometimes that is exactly how careers change and evolve. Just one performance that reminds everyone, including Hollywood itself, that an actor is capable of much more than they were ever given the chance to show. If Obsession proves anything, it's that Indy Navarrette was never waiting to become a great actress. She was waiting for a role that finally let everyone else see it.